I can see that.
How's Kyle doing? Kyle's here, huh?
Kyle is here.
Oh.
He was doing much better than he did. He went through
Wow.
doing much better. He's walking better, he's looking better.
Good for him.
He had a good meeting.
You too, bud.
Right. But not a lot of people. Maybe they have one for each one of us. Yeah, that's the they have one for each one of us. It's really. I got our lady with me. I don't see Fred.
How you doing, my brother? No?
Yeah. That's what Dan
I'll tell you what I hear, and I ain't been there, but from what I see, from the reports that I hear, they like we are. They like so up to 13 miles, it's a whole lot nicer than the one on the road.
There's Fred over there. Isn't that Fred?
I got a friend of mine that did one.
Fred Eddie's good. He's a very nice man. I didn't know he knew Richard Hines. Eddie looks better than this.
A lot longer out there.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, that's your possibility. Go ahead. Good. Well, they like up here, so why not? Well, like I said, now that's the lieutenant that will be He's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. Rusted. Rusted. So you're going to run again. At large, you'll win. There isn't a, you'll win. As popular as you. And what do you guys have to say about Angela?
Like I said, with most professional Should I take that then? Yeah, sure. Bob.
I heard your sister's doing
There's
real well.
21 of them now.
My friend went out there.
We did it with 7.
Went out there.
They got 21.
Good time. No, my husband went with my friend. But did they get tired? Yeah, Barb and Carol and a bunch of them.
So his car exploded? Did his car explode? What did that happen?
About a month ago.
Oh.
That's not cool for anybody, you know. I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Oh, hell no.
I felt bad when your car got hit. Remember when somebody hit your
Yeah.
sons? You know, nobody deserves to have a loss like that, you know?
My car got, my son had a tow truck, and it was minor damage. But the cop said that because the windshield was cracked, whatever, it had to be towed. It took the tow truck 6 hours to get there, and by the time someone came, someone hit the back end of it, sideswiped the side. It was total.
I don't want to see anything like that happen to anybody.
Now, what kills me is I just made the last payment on that car and took it off full coverage to save money. And, you know. Well, that'll teach me, huh?
I'm gonna do a bad hurricane.
Ready? Call to order, regular meeting, Warren City Council, Tuesday, March 28th at 7 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
President Green.
Here.
Councilman Watts.
Here.
Councilman Lafferty.
Here.
Councilman Kabazinski.
Present.
Councilwoman Rogancy. Here. Councilman Papandrea.
Here.
Councilwoman Moore is present. You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item is 4, adoption of the consent agenda. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Mr. Kabazinski.
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy.
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 7-0. Next item.
Next item is 5, approval of the agenda. So moved with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion.
Yes, the administration has requested we remove item 12D, which was consideration and adoption of a resolution authorizing the Parks and Recreation Department to participate in the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund grant program. I was a little surprised at that because we were told it had to be filed and we had to do it tonight because it's got to be filed April 1st, and we were told by the administration it's not ready to go. So I'm not sure what that is, but anyway, we'll take it off.
Any other discussion?
Yes, there's an item on the agenda the city attorney's office has brought to my attention. It has to do with approval of a car wash. It's on the consent agenda to set for a hearing. I'm told a hearing is not necessary and we can act on it tonight without a hearing. I can tell you the item number in a second.
Mr. President, point of order.
What's your point of order?
We have on the agenda that it's set for a public hearing. No notice has been provided to the neighbors on Elm Grove or anyone within 300 feet. While Mr. Papandrea may be correct that no public hearing is necessary, with all due prudence, we should maintain setting a public hearing and leave it on as is for the 25th of April.
Thank you, Mr. Lafferty. Mr. Papandrea, please continue.
I would ask Mr. Vincent to come and give the position of the city attorney's office. I've been talking to Mary Michaels, not Mr. Vincent, so I'd like him to come and put on the record what he believes the situation is.
Mr. President.
Ms. Moore?
I understand that the city attorney's office is saying that, but the planning department disagrees, and I don't think it would hurt anything for us to have a public hearing on this. There seems to be some maybe misstatements that were made, some maybe miscommunication. I think it would be good for the public to hear that. It won't hurt one thing for us to have a public hearing on the item.
Here, here.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Mr. Vincent, please.
Well, it's your call, but our position is that a public hearing isn't necessary on this matter, and it should be on the regular agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent.
Mr. President,
Any other on the agenda, or any other questions on the adoption of the agenda?
I'm just wondering, are we debating this item right now?
No, there's no motion's been made. It was an observation by Councilman Papandrea,
Okay.
but no motion's been made. And with all due respect, this should be, as Councilman Lafferty said, and as the planning director said, and as Ms. Moore said, we should err on the side of transparency for the residents in this change. It was represented one way, and it's now being represented differently. Anything additional? Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
No.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
No.
Green votes yes. Item passed 5-2. Next item.
Next item is 6A, calendar of pending matters, motion to receive and file.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 6B, discussion in Ray resident and neighborhood concerns.
Any?
Mr. President.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Mr. President, I have two that were brought to my attention during the week. This has already been relayed to the administration, but I want to get it on the record again to make sure that these actually get taken care of. It would be, the first one would be 21308 Sunset. There is outside storage on the property, including peat moss and building materials that are on the property, as well as a vehicle that's parked on the grass and not parked on the driveway. It is definitely on the grass and not gravel or dirt. And then the other one address is 21261 Sunset, in which construction equipment is being stored and parked on that address, on that lot there. So both of these addresses have already been relayed to the administration and property maintenance and also public service for action. I understand citations have been written, but according to the neighbors at the south end of Sunset towards 8 Mile Road, the north end of Sunset towards Topher is constantly a problem.
Thank you, Mr. Kaczynski. Any additional?
Mr. President,
Mr. Watts?
I have one item, 9 Mile in Panama. I've been bringing this up since last July for a fifth wheel parked on a vacant lot. And it's still there. And the resident continually is asking, why is this allowed to happen? So I don't know. I see
Property maintenance.
in the audience, and I'm wondering if he could shed any light on this to put it to bed, why it's not gone. Can you come to the mic, please?
Thanks, Mr. Scott.
Thank you.
He owns the property there. He has a house that's in the subdivision behind there that he lives in. The trailer is used as a construction trailer. It's within ordinance. It's on the energy absorbing material. So it fits in, it falls into all parameters. There's nothing we can do about it. Zoning was supposed to let you know that. It's been investigated. Every time that you've called it in, we've sent somebody out there. Our hands are tied.
So I don't understand. Nobody else can have a camper in there on a residential piece of property like that.
He owns the property. It's a commercial building site. There's trailers all over commercial building sites, from what I'm told, throughout the city. So that's where he slips through the cracks. We don't have anything that covers it.
All right, I'd like that back in writing if you would, please.
Is there a site plan Site plans last for 2 years.
I believe there is. I'll check with Ronnie tomorrow morning, but I believe there is.
You can get that over to Councilman Watts so we can
Yeah,
put that to bed.
if we can get that all back in writing, that would be great.
Not a
Appreciate it.
problem.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
You're welcome.
Mr. Watts, anything else?
No.
Any
Mr.
additional? Mr. Lafferty?
Thank you. If communications could kindly put up the first photo, starting with number 1. This is directed to Ms. Gapshus. Is she in the audience? There she is. This is a sinkhole forming at Gerald and Cunningham. And so it's right in front of the stop sign. If you can go to slide number 2, please. This is the second time I brought this forward. It's only getting deeper. This was taken just before the last snowfall. So this is getting worse. And then a little further down Cunningham, photo number 3, please. Oh, that's the wrong orientation. But on this particular section, if you want to go to 4 and then 5, please. This entire section, this is in front of between Marion and Stanley on Cunningham. This entire section was replaced, and this particular area where it is deteriorated, the color of the concrete is not even the same as the rest. You'll see around it, solid concrete, no problem. It's all brand new concrete. And this particular section never cured correctly, or maybe it's the bad mix. I don't know what happened, but it's less than 2 years old. So if you could take a look at that. And then pictures 6 and 7. This is an abandoned, continue please, go to 6. There you go. This is an abandoned pool. This is at 28455 Los Olas. And this particular property, the fence is not secure. The house is reported vacant. And this pool has been like this for more than a year. If you go to the next slide, please. You can see the fence is unsecured. The garage is in and out. People are in and out of that garage. So if we can have property maintenance and building and whoever else can go out there and please take a look at this. I'm very concerned that kids are going to get into that and we could have a potential issue. Final photo, number 8. This is at 29139 Campbell. As you can see, there are a number of cars. I'm not sure if they're running an auto repair out of this house or not, but the car parked just in front of the open garage has not run, nor has it been moved in over a year. It's broken down. Not sure if it's been plated. I couldn't get, I wasn't going to trespass to get a picture of the back end of the car. But please look into that. They continually park over the sidewalk as a result of having that car in non-running condition. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Ms. Gore.
Many of you know I've brought up problems at Frazo and Groesbeck. It's high accident area. The businesses in the areas have called me over and over again. And I keep bringing it up and nothing's been done. So I went to the chair of the county commissioners, Don Brown, and within 2 days, the state engineering department was on the phone with me. There's going to be a new traffic light put in there. They're doing a traffic study to see if they can't do something to improve the conditions there. So I want to thank Commissioner Brown and all of his help. I don't know what they're going to be able to do. Hopefully it's something, but I appreciate the effort. That's all.
Thank you. Any additional?
Oh, Mr. President.
Mr. Lafferty.
I'm sorry, I have one more. I realized when we took the item off from Parks and Recreation, that was going to be my talking point. Through the chair to Mr. Turcato, please. Over the weekend, I became aware of an item concerning Austin Danis Park and Rinky Park. A number of residents reached out to me with concerns over debris in these two particular parks as a result of fill dirt or perhaps demolition from the old play structures. Mr. Turcato, do you have an update for Austin Danis and Rinky?
Yes, Mr. Lafferty, we have the crew out there, we have the company out there today. They were out there for both locations. They started at Rinky today. They had 3 guys out there. I spoke with a contractor. They will be filtering that area, that and Austin Dennis. And if they can't get through it all, because I'm not sure the fill dirt was the best, that they will be replacing it and reseeding and taking care of that whole area for us. They're out there as we speak today, so.
Okay. Do you have any method of quality control, somebody that goes out to inspect these locations after an event like this?
So we did back in the fall when they got done late in the year. I think it was almost November when they completed that. Rinky and Austin Dennis, we went there, they covered all that up. And I think over here in the winter months in the rain, it surfaced all that to the top. And we were out there today. They were there cleaning. Honestly, they had a whole pickup full of, and I just told them I don't think it's going to work. I think you're going to have to remove it all and filter it and bring us clean dirt. That's part of the agreement, and I haven't paid I haven't paid the company yet. So until this is completed to our satisfaction, they will not be getting paid. So I appreciate whoever called it in, and thank you.
Okay. Is there perhaps for future fills, can we request topsoil that is more finely filtered and maybe safer? I can't imagine requesting anything less than what is safe for our parks.
So in the agreement, or in contract, that's supposed to be clean fill dirt. And obviously they tried to save a couple pennies, and now it's going to cost them dearly, so they're going to have to come and redo it.
All right. I appreciate your help and appreciate the quick response to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lafferty.
Mr. President, sorry, one more. This is actually your neighborhood, I think. 11 and Ryan, is that
Yes,
you?
ma'am.
Okay.
Go for it.
Truck parking at the Oak Ridge store.
Ongoing concern.
I
There
got a
and
neighbor-
9 and Ryan.
If we could take a look over there and do something about maybe that parking over there.
You're talking about semi-trailers?
Yep.
Ongoing, they'll come in, they'll spend the entire weekend and then leave. So by the time Monday rolls around after a report, they're gone. But it's constant. I've reported 9 and Ryan at the CVS or the Rite Aid, I forget which one is there, and then 11 and Ryan. And they also use, I've seen at DeCarlo's, at 10 Old DeCarlo's at 10 and Mound, they've used that lot.
The lot across the street from the...
They use a lot at Target, Universal Mall. Free for all, parking everywhere.
Any additional? All right, moving on, next item.
Next item is 7A, approval of the minutes.
Oh, sorry. Is there a motion and support to send these items over to the administration?
Motion.
Support.
Motion by Watts, support by Lafferty. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 7A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of March 14th, 2023. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 8A, approval of the bills of the general revenue funds. So moved.
Support with discussion.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion, Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. And perhaps this is a question for Ms. Moore. I'm not certain. The law firm that is representing Gary Boyke in the case against President Green, do we know if the invoices that are coming in from that law firm are including his personal lawsuit against the city?
Mr. President,
Ms. Moore.
the bills that we have from Miller Canfield are not, there's no legal services delineated on the bills that it is for representation of Mr. Boyke. If Mr. Boyke is, I understand, using the same law firm that the mayor is, and there's no way for us to find out who is paying the legal bills or if there is a bill being generated to Mr. Boyke, I don't know. There's no indication in the backup.
Because what I'm concerned is that we have a private citizen with no that should not be entitled to representation by the city's law department that could potentially be using the city's legal resources funded by taxpayers for a personal lawsuit against the city. And I just wanted to ensure that we have all due diligence and eyes on those invoices.
Mr. President?
Ms. Moore.
Maybe Mr. Schroeder could
Mr.
shed
Schroeder,
some
was
light
that
on
question
this.
asked?
Mr. President?
Mr. Schroeder.
Yeah, to answer that question, we had an exchange with Judge Julie Gotti about this very issue. I raised the concern that you just raised with the court, and initially we were not given the answer whether or not Mr. Boyke's legal fees were being paid by the city, because it was the same law firm that was defending the clerk and the city attorney in their attempt to illegally remove the council president. But Mr. Garcia of the Miller Canfield firm represented to the court that Mr. Boyke's fees are not being paid by the city. I'm satisfied that a licensed attorney making that representation would be making a truthful statement. So at this point, I'm satisfied that that's not the case.
Thank you.
Any additional? Call the question, Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Papandreou?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 7-0. Next item.
8B, approval of the bills of the water and sewer system. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Papandreou?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 7-0. Next item.
8C, approval of, receive and file the general fund revenue report.
Motion to receive and file.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
8D, general fund expenditure report. Motion to receive and file.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item.
Next item is audience.
Members of the audience who would like to address the City Council this evening may do so under this portion, and you'll be given 3 minutes to speak. When there's 1 minute left, I'll let you know there's 1 minute, and when it's 3 minutes, I'll ask you to wrap up. First speaker is Belinda Baker.
Hello to the City Council members. My name is Belinda Howard Baker. I'm a citizen out here in Warren. I'm here tonight in support of Mayor Foss. And also, I have been praying that the council and Mayor Foss, you all could, get together so we can move the city on. But I'm here in support of Mayor Foss. Thank you.
Larry Manette.
Good evening, Council. How are we tonight? I just wanted to come in front of you, bring my friend Kyle here back from his open heart surgery. He did very well and real pleased with the outcome. Being that May, basically what I want to bring up is we have a problem in this city with maintenance, whether it be roads, parks, water infrastructure. I have a water main on Continental and Automobile that was put in 1929. The streets probably were put in the 60s. And we're replacing streets north of 696 that were put in the mid-70s, water mains. This should not be. We should have an engineering department that goes street by street. The oldest has got to be fixed one way or another. It's not good in the south end. And anybody that walks our streets down there will tell you. I can walk down Page Street and I can show you where the water main is in collapsing because the road is now collapsing with it. I've talked to engineers. I had a big water main last year blow right my neighbor's house. Actually, it was a vacant house at the time. The city turned on the water. Water busted the pipe underneath the crawl space. The house wasn't occupied. He didn't look at it for another week and a half. He had just had city search done, finished. Went in the house and mold was growing up the sides of his house. It was terrible. But that's because the water mains have not been maintained. They're just now getting to our gas mains. It's just fine. Everything should be done as far as all of that, but we're all still paying for this. We need to have some type of, the signage in the city. It's dilapidated. It hasn't been, I've talked to Dale Walker over here. There's got to be some type of system that we can go through.
1 minute.
And look at street by street how old these signs are. They need to be updated, replaced. The parks, around the parks. Over here on Martin Road, they've got beautiful big parks signs that says children at play. Across from me where we have Deanna Seifert Park, I have a yield sign that is, and I kid you not, this big. Not good. Not good at all. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Michael Sylvester.
Good evening, Council. I've lived in this city. I've heard a lot of people say how long they've been here. I've been here 64 years. And I've been in the same area 64 years. What I don't like is, and I'm going to start with traffic. I live in a residential street, which probably a lot of people in here do. I do not expect that people should be traveling 45, 50, 60 miles an hour down my street. I worked with the Warren Police Department many years ago, got 4 stop signs installed when I thought we only needed 2. Police officer said that, no, you need more than that. Well, that's fine, but you know what? They have to be obeyed. If they're not obeyed, who cares? You come to the corner of Engelman and Curry and you just go over the bump, who cares? If you just make a right or left-hand turn, who cares? If you go to Frazo and then give it gas to get to the next stop sign and then just go through that, who cares? So I'm getting tired, I really am, of calling. There's police officers here tonight that I've talked to. They've been very helpful, but you know, I'm not worried about the other streets in the neighborhood. I'm worried about mine. I'm worried about the kids. I'm worried about the elderly people. I'm worried about myself, because most of these people do not care. They do not watch. So I hope there's something that the city council can do with the police department, with traffic, whatever. I know there's a lot of streets. I know there's a lot of miles to cover, but you know what? I don't do 50 miles an hour any of your streets. I would not be doing 50 miles an hour down them, ever. Now, the other thing is that we've been talking about clean, safe cities. Ran into a...
1 minute.
It's a readout done by Michigan. Should put my glasses on. Michigan 50 Safest Cities, done by SafeWise. There's 50 safest cities in this batch, and there's best places to live in this batch. Now, the mayor has been here for quite some time. He was on city council for quite some time. I've lived here for 64 years. We do not show up on either of these, not even close. I do a lot of driving around. I see the other cities. I see Royal Oak. I see Farmington Hills. I see Grosse Pointe. We're not even close. And I think, you know, whether you've got to work with the mayor or there's got to be a new mayor, or there's got to be a new city council, whatever, things need to change. We can't keep going the way we're going and have the city the way we have it and think that people are going to want to live here and spend money. There is no place here that people want to spend money.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvester. If you could wrap up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lori Harris. Lori Harris.
Howdy. I'm glad I made it here tonight. I'm looking forward to potting some plants in my, to start growing for my yard. Some pretty flowers would be nice. I want to remind the people who are here, the people who are watching, more than 67% of the voters completely understood what they were voting on when they opted to make the mayor comply with the same guidelines as other elected officials in our city. And the concern of the previous speaker about not being on any best cities, don't worry. Mr. Fouts just pays for Wallet Hub to say what he wants to say about the city. So he'll come up with some, that we're one of the safest places in the world. I wanted to talk to the people who are running for office again. Number one, I'd like to talk to Mr. Papandrea and tell you, why don't you just resign? Why are you even here when you don't do anything in your district and you don't really care? Why are you here? For those who are going to run again in this election, who have you 2.5 years ago, no, maybe 3 years ago, I called you out at the microphone. I said your names. I asked what you were doing for the city. And clearly you did nothing, but you're going to go on and be on the, is everything okay? You're going to be elected again. I want to challenge you to make a difference, not just put your name on a better job. And I guess that's probably all I can really say at this point. I support the council. I support the action against the mayor. I support the appeal. And good luck.
Thank you. Kyle Atkins. Thank you.
Good evening, folks. It's good to be able to be back. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you that prayed for me since I've been down. But we're doing fantastic. But what I want to talk about today, I've got a whole lot, but I ain't got time, Pat, to get all of it in. And I'm not holding city council responsible for what I'm getting ready to say. You know, back when the water meters was coming in, there was a guy by the name of Tom, that was over the water department, and to my understanding, he's still over the water department. But you know what's amazing to me? He stood right there in front of the microphone and said it's going to save the residents money. We ain't seen that. I've been in this city for nearly 40 years. You know something? I ain't seen no difference in my water bill. The only thing,
1 minute.
If their word ain't no good, I said I may not, but I said I'm still working on it. Still working on it. I'm proud and I'm thankful the recovery that the good Lord has given me. And thank you very much. Keep up the good work. And I'd like to tell you this in my closing remarks. And I know it ain't much done no more. But people, if they tell you one thing and do another thing, forget about it. Because they're not our friends anyway. And God bless you, my friend.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. Eric Brum, Stephanie Dopke.
Hold on just a minute. Hold on just a minute.
Take your time, sir.
Jim Fouts, please.
A little bit. Take your time.
Jim Fouts, please.
Good evening. We wanted to address council because we come here for a recommendation and guidance of how we could go about changing Ordinance 30-998, which is the building permit for fences on private property. And the reason we bring this up is because at our current address that we've been at for the last 10 years, we have a shared property line with our neighbor, and there's no clear definition where the property line is because there's no fence there. So the neighbors that are previously there with us, we just had a common understanding. We took care of each other. Recently, they moved. New owners have come in, and they've been less than hospitable to us and communicative to us. And I pointed out where the property line was, where I believe it is on the plot plan. I've measured it out. And they've had a fencing contractor come out, walked all over our property. I went out, asked what they were doing, showed them where it was. They disagreed with me. And then we talked to the owner 2 weeks later because they had Mistig come out. They marked utilities on their property and onto our property as well. Yesterday, when we were stuck in the airport in Florida because of a canceled flight, we looked at our security camera, which shoots out to our backyard, and we noticed a contractor that dug up our flower box and is on our side of the property. So we called building department. They said they would not get involved, that the owners pulled the permit, and this was a civil matter. So I left a message for somebody over at building department. I still have not got a call back from them. We called non-emergency police. They sent somebody out there. Police talked to the contractors, and they called us back, said they would not get involved because it was a civil matter. So I had my dad go there, half-hour away. He drove down there to talk to the contractor, and all the contractor wanted to do was negotiate this and showed him the permit, and they just checked the mark that said it was on their property.
1 minute.
So, long story short, we haven't got anywhere. Everybody says that this is a civil matter, and all these people had to do was check the box on the permit saying it was on their property. Building department, there's no checks and balances for the building department to look at it. So I'm just wondering if one of you could call me, how we can go forward to change the language in this building ordinance so it doesn't affect other people like it's affecting us, because I have a feeling with everything that's going on with these neighbors, and after talking to them tomorrow, we'll probably end up in civil court over this, and nobody from the city wants to provide help. Everyone's kind of passing the buck and saying there's nothing they can do about it. So if somebody could guide us, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, sir, Ms. Camp, can you get his phone number? I'll give you a call tomorrow. Yeah. Jeff? I didn't put my glasses on, so I couldn't see the last name. That's okay. Arms aren't long enough anymore. Arms aren't long enough anymore. You have the floor, sir.
Well, thanks for letting me talk to the city council. I have two things. First of all, your last council meeting, I was listening to it online, just watching it, no comments, no nothing. The next day, I get a message on Facebook Messenger, a rude message from a preacher, Curtis Ostosh, telling me that I was complaining about signs. I have no idea what the heck you were talking about or who even this bozo is that's sending me messages. And if he's here, you're a bozo. Okay, the next one is the Levin and Hoover light. You have accidents there daily. And what's going on is, if I say the backlight, I mean the one that's just before the turnarounds, both east and west, those turn green before the lights at Hoover turn green. So the people are leaving that light full speed. By the time they hit Hoover, they're hitting the intersection, which it's green for them legally, even though it just turned green. People going north and south are blowing the light, trying to beat it, and the collision is there constantly. We've had rollovers. We just had a major one that hit a semi and broke the gas tank open. So we had diesel fuel all over the intersection. All you really got to do is just make both lights green and red at the same time, and you'll probably prevent 90% of the accidents in that intersection. That's all I had to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll send this off to the county. They manage the timing of the lights.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gloria Sanker.
Good evening, Council. This year, 2023, is election year. It's time to evaluate new and present candidates for offices. I believe we are being shortchanged by both Washington and our local politicians. Washington is so out of touch of what we need and want. Their priority is to confuse our children about what sex they should be, and when the parents object to this nonsense, they call them terrorists. And locally, you, our city council, your priority is to object to whatever the mayor is doing, and recently you hired your own city attorney because you favor his decision over the present city attorney, of course, paid with taxpayer money. So now we have two attorneys. How does that help the people? None of it is fixing the roads, keeping our slum landlords out, or fixing the flooding problems in our neighborhoods. What we want as residents is so basic. What you want is so political. Most of you fall short of why you were elected. We don't have any unity here. We have discord and dislike among our leaders, and among yourselves, you have favorites, and this isn't helping any of us. There is a clear distinction among you council members as to whose side you are on, and clearly it doesn't appear to be ours. I'm going to listen to what the new candidates fight for. If it isn't clear that it is for the people, don't vote for them. What we really need is a 1 year out of the 4 years as a probation for any elected official. If they can't get it right for the people in that time, they should be let go. And the next runner-up should be appointed for that office. Instead, we have people saying they will fight for our good, but instead they fight among themselves. It's time we start getting accountability for the good pay and the pensions that you get. Residents, if you want to run for office in Warren government, apply by Tuesday, April the 25th by 4 o'clock at the clerk's office. We need new blood. Thank you.
Thank you. Ossie Johnson. Ossie Johnson.
Well, 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 I'm back. It's good to see y'all. To the people of Warren, let me get straight to the point. This city has officially kicked me out of the city. I'm on a quarter-mile PPO. I'm not allowed to come to the police department, the city hall, or the 37th District Court simply for recording misconduct in this city. I came here late 2019. I was attacked by Eddie. He downgraded my work. He framed me as a terrorist to this city. Ethan Benson. He tried to cover the police department's tracks when they set me up January 5th of 2020 on a public walkway for simply recording. They went in the house, told the lady to come out, bother me, so when I say something back, they would arrest me for creating a disturbance. And they did so. But they underestimated me, once again. We FOIA requested the body cam video, audio. They did exactly what I thought they did. They spoke poorly of me, they assassinated my character, and they used 2 innocent, confused women to get back at me and posted them in public record as victims. I continue to share that video repeatedly. One of the ladies they used, she ended up coming to court after she seen the video on Facebook, and she was disgusted. I don't want nothing to do with what you guys did to this man. I don't want nothing to do with it. And she sat right there with me 2 years later on a misdemeanor, unlawful arrest, creating a disturbance. And she sat there, day of trial.
1 minute.
Case dismissed. Everybody walks out. It was Ethan Vincent, your dirty city attorney, who you do not need. These people are not working for you people. They're working for themselves in their own interests. When will you get that? Top to bottom, bottom to top. They're not for you. And at least one of you now know, I am not against you. And I proved that without the camera. It's the bad guys versus the good guys. They kicked me out of your city. That's a shame. We live in China. That's disgusting. It don't matter how you feel. Am I committing a crime or not? If it was a test or if I was baiting you, if there was a trap, you jumped right into it. 2 PPOs. I'm on my 2nd PPO by the police department.
3 minutes. If you could wrap up, Mr. Johnson. Thank you. Joel Vanderlinden.
Joel Valen, longtime Warren resident. I think it's kind of interesting to see that another person, another citizen of Warren, has felt the wrath of the incompetent one, Mr. Vincent, on another misdemeanor, false misdemeanor charge, found not guilty. Once again, the incompetent one should never have been agreed upon to keep the seat that this council did not vote him in to keep. He should have been removed. On August 21st, members of this council went to Circuit Court to fight the Mayor Fout's name being put on the ballot. It's my understanding that Judge Toya saw in favor of Mayor Fout's with 11-page response. And if you read it, which very long-winded, the man must like his voice, he clearly states in so many paragraphs that the people of Warren don't understand or cannot comprehend English. That the 68,000 people that voted that day could not understand what the hell they were voting on. That everyone in Warren must be ignorant. And I'm wondering to myself, is this man judging us by our mayor and the city attorney? Or did he actually give a damn to think that maybe the people knew exactly what they were doing and throwing the mayor off the ballot? Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Ethan Vincent.
Share the light.
My name's Ethan Vincent. I am the city attorney. I've been duly appointed, confirmed, ratified by a judge, and...
Excuse me, Mr. Vincent. Sorry. Mr. Vanderlinden, please don't interrupt him. Thank you, Mr. Vincent. Go ahead.
The previous 2 speakers really had some not nice things to say about me, but I'll just simply say you don't know what Mr. Johnson did to get that PPO. He had to convince, the judge had to be convinced he did something. And some of the things he did became personal with the police officer. Now, Mr. Vanderlinden spoke of the Judge Toya's decision, and he referred to me as being incompetent. Well, I beg to differ with you. However, Judge Toya agreed with the opinion that I issued. And that is the law of the case for now. I understand you're appealing it. So we'll see what the Court of Appeals does. And if, in fact, it's affirmed, which it may very well be, then I guess that answers your question about incompetence.
Yes, you are.
Next item.
Next item is announcements, Mr. President.
One second. Before we go to the one gentleman talking about the timing of the lights, can we get a motion and support to send a note to engineering and to the county for looking at the timing of those lights and for the police department for the number of accidents and if action needs to be taken?
Motion to send over.
Support Lafferty.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item.
Mr. President?
Ms. Moore.
Yes, I would just like to remind everybody that the Warren Symphony Orchestra has a performance coming up on April 23rd, which is a Sunday. It is at the Macomb Center for Performing Arts. The title of the performance is Out of This World. We'd love to see some of our Warren friends out there. To get tickets, you can call 586-286-2222. And I did want to also mention, there were a couple items that had been sent over by the administration for some expenditure of monies. We have budget hearings that will be coming up in the next, should be 2-3 weeks. So that's really the time for us to discuss all of these items when we're so close to a new budget. So we look forward to having discussions during our budget hearings on all of these items. That way, because there's a lot more time, we can discuss things in depth and do our due diligence on some of those items that are being proposed. So I just want to make that clear on that we will, and we'll be setting, Mary will be setting up the hearings pretty soon, next agenda probably. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional announcements? Hearing and seeing none, move on to the next item.
Next item is 11A, which is a public hearing, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving the demolition of a commercial building located at 2800 Groesbeck through the nuisance abatement program.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to speak regarding this item? Hearing and seeing none, close the public hearing, turn the item over to council for action.
Motion to approve.
Support with
Motion by
discussion.
Lafferty, support by Watts. Discussion.
Mr. President?
Mr. Kabazinski.
I just have a quick question. I don't know who would be able to answer this. So this is the old Burger King location, my understanding? Is that correct?
Who's got jurisdiction over this? Mr. Lezay?
Okay, my question is, was this corporate-owned or was this a franchise, and who is actually going to be responsible for taking care of the payment to the city on for our demolition? Is it going to be the corporate or the franchisee?
Well, once it's declared, we'll be taking the building down. They have not volunteered to take the building down. We held the hearing, nobody showed up, the FTA at our hearing. So I already started a nuisance prior to the fire, then the fire accelerated and brought it in immediately. And so here we are today, nobody showed up. I notified everybody I could on the title, according to the title. I got no response. We held the hearing, FTA, declared a public nuisance. I drove by there today, terrible fire, terrible.
Yes, sir. I guess my concern, Mr. President, is if this is indeed a franchisee, that they left this building in shambles for a very long time. They did not take care of the property. They were issued many violations. I would add to this motion that, you know, until they take care of this debt that they owe to the city, if it is a franchisee, that they should not be allowed to open other further franchises in the city of Warren. If it is the corporate, again, the same thing.